Welcome to All Change, the programme that puts design at the heart of the learning experience. Today we're at Sherborne Fields Special School in Coventry, and over the course of a single weekend we're going to be transforming a classroom for children with autism. Sherborne Fields is a mixed special school for students aged 2 to 19 with physical disabilities and medical conditions. Next term, the school is going to be taking a cohort of students with severe learning difficulties, some of whom have autism. We're developing a room for them to help them to contribute positively within their group and in the wider school community.
Sherborne Fields is a special school for special people. It's a mixed day state school for pupils with physical disabilities aged from 3 to 19. Some pupils have severe or profound learning difficulties, and the curriculum is tailored towards the individual needs of these students, who eventually work towards GCSEs and vocational qualifications such as City and Guilds and RSA awards. As the school will be having a new cohort of Year 7 students next term, we're going to be creating a special learning space for them. And also in today's programme, we visit a school designed more than 30 years ago that was ahead of its time. Its classrooms and breakout spaces still work well today. The Beehive School, designed to showcase new ideas in architecture. Now it's actually going to be built. And we showcase some products to help enhance your staff room.
Joel, see if you can see something here.
Sherborne Fields Special School was built more than 40 years ago and caters for students in Coventry and Warwickshire. There's a much more acute need for specific learning environments here than in most schools.
We cater for a tremendous diversity of need and ability. Children with quite severe physical disabilities, some with medical conditions, some with learning difficulties, sensory impairments and so forth.
And the room that we're working on this weekend, what do you want to get from that?
Well, the children who are going to be educated in that room have severe learning difficulties, and many of them have autism too. What we're endeavouring to create in that environment is a very simple, minimalistic sort of room, free of too many distractions.
It's because other special schools in Coventry are oversubscribed that a new cohort of children with severe learning difficulties are arriving at Sherborne Fields. Shalanda de Cruz Architects in Birmingham consulted with the school to design the new look for the room, which includes some mobile sensory units.
We looked at creating cubes, and the philosophy was that it was almost like a jewel box or a toy box or a jack-in-a-box, and that these things should fold out, sort of flat down, almost like a piece of wooden origami, I suppose, and then applied to these different textures so that they come alive. The other thing that we've done is to, through consultation with the school, to identify specific areas in the room which relate to specific activities, so that when the children are sat in the blue comfy space, they know that they're going to have a discussion, or if they're sat around the table, then there's work going on. Similarly, if there's a presentation going on, they can turn around to the presentation wall. So it's extremely structured. Really what we've done is to understand the needs of the children. They're central to the design. Really it's about containing architectural or design ego and looking at the needs of the people that we're creating the space for, and really trying to understand a very different brief.
The room has been a functional but not a vital space at Sherborne Fields and was a bit of a dumping ground for clutter. So it was out with it all before work started. The design for the room required a very subtle approach.
So John, something quite different this week, quite a specialised room that we're creating.
Yeah, but also a simple room as well, because of the learning difficulties of the children who are coming here in September. But because of these learning difficulties the children have, they have to be careful and have a controlled way of bringing in bright colours or shapes and the likes. So we're sort of making a muted room, but obviously we're going to add to that things like these little boxes, storage boxes there. which go onto these sort of carpeted areas so they can actually sit on the floor with soft seating. And they're covered in different sort of fabrics that are very tactile.
So sensory boxes?
Yeah, very much so, yeah. And of course they have a use as well, you can put things in. And obviously things like shelving and pinboards that they didn't really have. And we just, again, with the colour, trying to make it very calm, not too overbearing or overpowering. And again, more sort of carpeting sort of in this area here, where it's sort of kind of soft, because obviously they're only young children. And do like to sit on the floor if they're listening to a story or whatever.
So a very calm but flexible space that can be adapted over time to meet the needs of the children here being introduced to the school.
Sure, exactly. And we have to be careful about that. That's really, really important. And that is it.
Does that mean you won't be doing much this week then?
I'm always doing something, get on with it.
The first job was to replace bright buttercup yellow with something more soothing. And it was off with the old display boards. At Sherborne Fields School, there are special circumstances to be accommodated when the needs of children with severe learning difficulties are assessed.
In the main, we try and provide stimulating experiences for the student, and part of that has been to make the room stimulating. But this new group is very different in that if they were to come into a room like this, there would be too much on the walls for them to cope with. There'd be far too many distractions. They'd be stimulated by Venetian blinds that they could go over and touch and play with. They'd be stimulated by the number of computers that are in here and the books there that they want to pull out. And so we're really looking to create something very different with this room. Still meeting the needs of children, but their needs are such that they don't cope particularly well with unplanned stimulation. And so the room is going to be a room where stimulation around the walls and in the room itself is at a minimum.
So unlike other rooms at Sherborne Fields, the zoning of the new room needs very careful consideration. Autistic children's expectations of their school day need to be managed sensitively.
When they're on the carpet is a cue as to how they need to behave, and the carpet is also a cue as to how things are going to progress. So they know that if they're sitting at the tables, it's work, and they know that if they're sitting on the carpet, it's a group session where they can contribute and they can relax, and because uncertainty is a great troubler to quite a lot of youngsters.
Schools built in the 1960s are often criticised for not meeting modern teaching and learning needs. Often they were built with poor materials and are starting to disintegrate. Their classrooms don't really match modern curriculum needs. St Winifred's Roman Catholic Junior School in Lewisham was built in the end of the 1960s. Its radical design has stood the test of time. Octagonal classrooms with breakout spaces could have come straight from the government's Building Schools for the Future programme. We've been to see the school in action. St Winifred's in the Catholic Archdiocese of Southwark was built in 1969. Designed by architects Broadbent, Hastings, Reed and Todd, the school was constructed using high-quality materials. It's on a green and spacious site and is an example of far-sighted educational design.
The most innovative thing about the design at the time was the modular classrooms. The classrooms are divided into two octagonal pods, which are joined by ancillary mezzanine teaching areas. This allows for a variety of uses during the school day. 36 years on, the building still meets the original design specifications. We're fortunate to have the spaces much larger than normal classrooms, which allow for group work, individual work, paired work. These rooms are also used as storage areas for curriculum resources, which are easily accessible by all members of the school community. We have a general purpose hall. Halls deployed in the morning for assemblies. At lunchtime, it's a dining hall. During the day, it's a specialist teaching area for our dance teacher, our music teacher, our drama teacher. It's also a place of worship for whole school liturgies and whole school masses. We're fortunate that we've got a hall big enough which will accommodate the entire school community with their parents present as well.
The small ancillary learning spaces alongside large octagonal classrooms are what make the architects who designed the school so innovative. They lend themselves very well to 21st century teaching and learning styles. In fact, many new schools are being built with breakout spaces for small group teaching, just like these.
One of the things that the architects couldn't have envisaged when they designed the school in the late 60s was the use of ICT as a core subject in the curriculum. We're very fortunate to have the space to have a purpose-built ICT suite with a complete network of computers. The building itself doesn't add greatly to the ease of networking. We've had to provide a wireless bridge between the buildings to ensure that all the classrooms have standalone internet access.
For an inner-city London school, St Winifred's is blessed with lots of green space.
The outside teaching area has also been octagonally designed to mirror or to reflect the design of the classrooms and buildings themselves. Groups go out, they sit around the benches, they conduct reading lessons, story times.
In keeping with the original design, the school staff room has been extended for a team which is much bigger than it was in the 1960s. The head's office has also been enlarged, octagonally of course. Refurbishing the children's outside toilets was a priority. Modern loos replaced one of the elements of the original design that hasn't stood the test of time.
Nearly 40 years on, the architects have to be commended for their forward thinking. The school more than meets the needs of its pupils. The octagonal classrooms are quirky in design. They're also unique. It's a wonderful place to work. Knowing that you've got that breakout space, it allows for more individual, more group and more one-to-one work.
This now is interactive or a touch whiteboard.
It will be a touch screen, yes. So the children will be able to go up to it and make things happen. And some of them are quite small, so we don't want it too high on the wall.
It was very important that the height of the new interactive board was absolutely right if the students were going to be able to use it effectively.
Right, so where my knee is, about there.
Still lots of painting to be completed. And the mobile sensory units still have to be assembled. Oh, and yes, then they need painting.
The classroom is going to be used by very special children, and we've decided that we're going to zone this classroom. It's very important for these children to know exactly what they're doing and where they are during the day. As they enter, there's a very soft area. There's carpet on the floor, there's soft seating, there's fun boxes of storage. There, they can acclimatise the whole classroom. They then come over here. This is where they learn, and they're going to know they're going to learn here. We have a smart board on here, which they can come up, they can touch, they can feel. Then, they know exactly when they're in the classroom, what they're doing, where they are.
At Sherborne Fields, there's been a lot of investment in vital infrastructure and facilities. But recently, the head teacher has overseen the development of a school environment which is both attractive and stimulating for students and their teachers. It's been a very successful strategy.
David, this is a lovely tranquil space in the heart of your school, but I know you had to bring additional funding in to be able to do this.
Yes, it is beautiful, isn't it? Yes, we were successful in obtaining a £5,000 grant from a local DIY superstore. Which enabled us to completely transform this area. It had fallen into disuse, it was derelict and dangerous, and thanks to this grant, we were able to transform it into this beautiful place that you see now.
And you're actually using this within the curriculum, aren't you, with some of the areas you've got in
Oh,
it?
yes, yes. Lessons take place in this area. We use the flora and fauna that you see around us as educational tools. Weather is recorded out here, compost is generated, horticulture is practiced. It serves many, many purposes.